Welcome to a new quick hitter from Full Court. I'm Jenny Fischer, and our guest this week is Shawn Smith, the founder of GoBigBlueCountry.com. We discussed why John Calipari hasn't been able to have his guys gel just yet. Why isn't this team able to turn the corner just yet?
I don't know if they trust him yet. I think that's a thing when you have freshmen and you have guys who, for their entire life, they've heard nothing but good things said about them. And right now, when they're struggling, I mean, you're seeing it on this roster. I do think that there's some selfish tendencies. Not that that's intentional. I kind of think that that's normal when you have a group of guys who have been used to having their ego stroked and stuff for their entire life. I think that is playing into this right now. And I think that the frustration's starting to boil over. And two, I mean, this is something that Cal's done for 12 years at Kentucky. There's only been one season that it didn't work out, that they didn't get it figured out. And, we kind of throw that one to the side because they had a significant injury to Nerlens Noel that season. So that one's kind of thrown to the side. This one just feels different because they're on the wrong side of history right now. I mean, every single game I'm writing a post-game column about how it's getting worse and how we keep going further back. 1926. If they lose Saturday, how far do we go back? Because, I mean, it's certainly getting to that point. So I think that that's a lot to do with it. Is I think that there's a lack of trust. And not to say that, I mean, when you're on a roster, when you're on a team, there's got to be trust within your teammates. There's got to be trust in your coaching staff. I think Cal has to trust his guys a little more too. I think it goes both ways. There's certainly some guys there that I think they feel like they deserve a little bit more running games, but Cal's a guy that likes to play 6 to 7 guys if he has his way. And he actually said that on his radio show tonight that he's going with a 7-man rotation until they get this figured out. So playing less guys instead of playing 9 like he has been.
Every program goes through a season like this. North Carolina suffered through it last year. They went 14-19. But let's go over under on this. Is Kentucky's record this season going to be better or worse than the 14-19 mark last year that the Tar Heels had?
Well, with fewer games this season, it's going to be hard to get to 14. If that's the thing right now, Jenny, is what do they have to do to get into the NCAA tournament? I mean, even with fewer games, a body of work is still a body of work. And right now, Kentucky doesn't have anything to show for. They have a win against Morehead State, and they have some losses that I do think are going to look bad when they get to March. Seth Davis actually made a comment the other day at the halftime show and after it was over that Kentucky's schedule gets easier. Does it, though? And then if it does, how does that help them? Because then what do they have to show for? I would put it, if they get to 14 wins, then I think that this team got it figured out because there are some good teams in the SEC. They play Tennessee twice. They play Florida. They're going to lose some games in that conference. I look at it, if they can go 13-5 in SEC play, then they've got it figured out and have a chance to do something and get in postseason play. But it comes back to this too. I think Kentucky's in a tough spot as a program right now where obviously it's catered to the one and done. They have a hard time convincing kids to stick around. Look at Jamal Baker, what he's doing at Arizona right now. You can't tell me that that's a kid that wouldn't help at Kentucky, that should have developed at Kentucky. But I guess he just, like a lot of guys that transfer out, they don't see their place in that program. So if you're struggling and you're 1-5, and a lot of these guys come back next season, then you can it makes it worth it. But if, let's say, they lose B.J. Boston, Terrence Clark to the NBA, and then Olivier Sarr to graduation, a lot of these pieces, then you kind of struggled for no reason. And I think that's the biggest concern right now with Kentucky fans is like, if this pays off and a lot of these guys come back, then it's okay. But right now, I mean, kind of have to think that it's going to be pretty much a new roster in Lexington again next year.
Yeah, one of the questions I wanted to ask you about was NCAA tournament implications with a start like this. You mentioned the full body of work. It will be interesting to see how it shakes out for the whole country and then obviously for Kentucky basketball. But let's get back to UNC for a quick moment. What do we know about Cam Fletcher's leave of absence? And he had the moment at the end of their game against the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I was very surprised this morning when I got the notification that John Calipari actually went to Twitter to say what he did. That's so out of character for John Calipari. It's so out of character for any college basketball coach, any college coach actually to go to social media. And it definitely wasn't positive. It was kind of, you're either going to you need to step away and get this figured out and figure out if you can be a part of this program both on and off the floor. That's not a very good message. And they've had players leave this program, Jenny. I mean, Quade Green a couple years ago left midseason. Khalil Whitney left last year in January. Both of those players got positive messages when they left the program. That's what surprised me about this one today. This one was kind of just, it's put out there. He kind of, ran over him with the bus, backed him over today, which is, I think, honestly will be used against him in recruiting. I think that every coach that recruits against Kentucky right now is going to pull that tweet and use it against them. But with Fletcher's situation, I think what I heard today is that there's a power struggle going on right now, that Cal is having a very hard time convincing some of these guys with egos. I think Fletcher was giving some pushback. Certainly, it bled over to the bench the other day, and you can turn on the tape and watch the final 2 minutes, and there was a lot going on that I don't think people realized, from him crying to Terrence Clark getting frustrated, to Cam'ron Fletcher actually leaving the bench area, which somehow we got trapped into thinking that Terrence Clark also left the bench, but that was actually false, and UK confirmed that he was still on the bench at the end of the game. But Fletcher left the bench. Rob Harris, the strength and conditioning coach, was seen, trying to cover his face with a towel, but the cameras caught him. I don't really know what that situation means moving forward. I think could he rejoin the team at some point this season? I think Cal's tweet kind of left that door open. Fletcher did apologize to Kentucky fans yesterday, but he did fly out of Lexington yesterday. And there are some reports that people did see him at the airport, and he wasn't being very discreet with his phone call conversation, whoever he was talking to, and was overheard saying some pretty negative things about Cal and about the program. So it's certainly not a good situation right now.
We hope you listened to the full conversation with Shawn Smith. You can watch video versions of all of our quick hitters on the Pure Hoops Media YouTube channel. Check out Full Court with Fischer and Kay every Tuesday from Pure Hoops Media.